Electric and gravel are two of the fastest growing sectors in the cycling market, so it comes as no surprise that some of the leading manufacturers have begun to merge the two. The latest to do that is Canyon with this, the Grail On. Now, I know what you're thinking. Looking at it, it looks like the sort of bike that Batman would ride once he's gone into retirement. But I can let you know that after a summer's worth of testing, in fact, this is some of the most fun you can have with drop handlebars. So to power this beast, Canyon has adopted Bosch's fairly new Performance Line CX motor system. Now, this system was originally designed for e-mountain bikes and gives you that real punch when you need to get up a very steep off-road gradient. It is heavy, it's 2.9 kilograms, which makes it heavier than stuff like the Fazua, the E-Motions and the Shimano Steps that you'll see in a lot of these bikes' competitors. But it's just got that extra bit of kick for when you're off-road. Put it this way, this motor system can offer you 85 Newton meters worth of torque, offering you 340% of your power. Obviously that's limited to 25 kilometers an hour, as that is the law in the UK, but there really is a rocket under this bike that you sometimes don't get with other systems. Now, within this system there are 4 modes, all controlled from this little computer at the top on the handlebars. So you've got Eco, Tour, Sport and Turbo. As I previously mentioned, Turbo is where you're really getting that rocket, the fireworks that are going to send you up that 20% gradient off of road. Then on Sport, it's that similar sort of acceleration, just a little bit more pedestrianised. As for Eco and Turbo, that's a bit more like a gentle tailwind pushing you up the climb. Unlike many of the sort of other systems that are in use from competitors on the Grail, the entire motor system is controlled by this little interface on the bars here. Now what that does is it not only tells you what system you're using at that time, whether it be Turbo, Sport, Eco or Tour, it also tells you how much battery life you've got left, which is an absolute godsend, because I'll tell you what, I've used other e-gravel bike systems and the amount of times that you don't know that you've got battery left and you run out halfway up a climb is absolutely devastating. No problem here with this. So the entire motor system is powered here from a 500 watt battery that's been put into the bike's down tube. Now this 500 watt battery is pretty damn special. Why? Well, if you charge it up, it takes about 8 hours to charge, so I've been charging it overnight. You will get a range of over 100 kilometers. There is the caveat there. If you use this bike in Sport and Turbo a lot, you're not going to get over 100 kilometers. But if you do use the motor fairly conservatively, then you are going to be able to get a full day's worth of riding out this. I mean, it's perfect for bike packing and touring alike. So as I mentioned, it takes about 8 hours to fully charge this bike, and kind of like the iPhone, it takes 2 or 3 hours to get to 75%, and then that last 25% is where you have to sort of wait 4 or 5 hours actually. And also, if you want to charge it, you don't have to actually have the bike. You can detach the battery. All you've got is this little key system down here. You just turn it and the battery clips out. It's very neat and tidy. But as you can imagine, because this motor system in the bottom bracket has added 2.9 kilograms in weight, the bike is fairly heavy. So with such a powerful motor system on board, Canyon has had to readdress the frame of the Canyon Grail. Why? Because the old Grail would have probably not been able to take the torsional wrenching that you get from the massive torque is available in this system. So Canyon have done a lot to this bike. The carbon frame set is actually 4 millimeters thick in points, which you're more likely to find on an e-mountain bike than you are a gravel bike, but it's done this so it can deal with that 85 Newton meters worth of torque. It's also had to elongate the bike's wheelbase by 20 millimeters. Firstly, that's to keep the weight that's been added into that bottom bracket centered and give you a planted feel when you're descending, but also it's been done to make room for what are absolutely huge tyres. 50 millimeters, that's 10 mil wider than you can fit in the non-motorised Grail. Now, this bike does weigh in at 15.9 kilograms without pedals, which means it is fairly heavier than most of its competitors. When you've got the motor on, you don't really feel the weight, but it must be admitted that when you don't have the motor on, or you do hit that 25 kilometer an hour limit, the weight does slow you down slightly. That's also helped along by the fact that these 50mm tyres are very big, very chunky, and being run at quite a low pressure do not run the best on tarmac. But I will give that aside because this frame is absolutely bomb-proof. It's very stiff, very rigid, and it gives you very much a lot of confidence when you're going downhill, which means you end up taking on some trails that I don't think you'd otherwise take on a normal gravel bike. So with the additional weight and the longer wheelbase, Canyon has also readjusted the geometry of the Grail on compared to the non-motorised version. In fact, there's a higher stack and a shorter reach to this bike, meaning this is the most upright riding position of any of Canyon's drop handlebar bike range. Now, with that long wheelbase and that sort of higher stack and shorter reach, you're going to think, does it turn a bit like a bus? Well, Canyon have tried to counteract that with a very short 70mm stem that gives you that little bit of nip and tuck when you're going around the tightest of bends on them off-road trails. So once you're done staring at the quirky handlebars and the massive motor attached to the bottom bracket, the next thing that's likely to catch your eyes is the huge tyres that Canyon has attached to the Grail on. From the box, they come with a set of Schwalbe G1 Bite tubeless ready tyres in 50mm. In fact, Canyon will send this to you set up tubeless, which is perfect for this bike. Now, these tyres are absolutely heavy duty. I've taken them through very deep sand, rooted forest and very deep mud, and it is skipped over them with a canter. I'm really impressed with these tyres, if it truth be said. So on the motorised version, as I previously mentioned, you can fit 10mm worth more of rubber into the frame, and these 50mm tyres can also be taken with mudguards at the same time. Now, because of the fairly robust weight on offer and the very chunky tyres, Canyon has had to somewhat call in the cavalry when it comes to its wheel set. What it's gone for is a set of e-gravel specific DT Swiss 1800 spline wheels. Why has it done that? Well, the spokes are still reinforced, as is the hub. Now, this does add quite a bit of weight, but it does bring a whole new meaning to the term bomb-proof. So in total, Canyon has released 4 different spec choices for the Grail on. So 3 of them just have variations on the group set, while 1 is a women's specific model that's got a change of saddle as well. Now this is the top line option, this £5,699. It comes with SRAM's 1x Force Axis 12-speed group set, and then the rest of them come with a variation of Shimano's GRX group sets. So the eagle-eyed among you will have realised that there is no provisions for a front mech. That's because all 4 of the Canyon Grail on bikes come as 1x only, swapping between SRAM's Force, Axis 12-speed or Shimano GRX. Canyon have probably done this because between a 12-speed group set and that motor, you're going to have all the gears that you really need to go uphill, downhill and on the flats. So the Canyon Grail on will come in a range of colours. There's Cloud Grey, Discovery Blue and Rosewood Red. My personal favourite is Discovery Blue. There will be a range in prices, as there always is. The entry level option is going to cost $4,699. This, the top spec with SRAM Force Axis, is $5,699. All 4 options will come in all sizes from double XS up to double XL, and the double XS, the XS and the small frames will come fitted with 650B wheels for better steering and control. So whenever we discuss electric bikes at Cyclist magazine, we're always met with the same old add-ons. It's cheating, it's for old people that can't pedal their bikes anymore, and you'd never catch me dead on a motorbike. Well, this is the bike that is the exception to that, quite frankly, stupid rule. This bike is as much fun as I've ever had on a drop handlebar bike. Granted, this bike is far from perfect. It is quite heavy. The ride can be a little bit harsh at times if you haven't got those tyre pressures dialed in, and it is quite niche. Plus, these handlebars, I'm not fully sold on them yet, but there's a lot that is absolutely excellent with this bike. First of all, the 50mm size tyres mean that going off-road is an absolute doddle, even if you haven't got that confidence to hit really technical trails. The motor system, not only is it very powerful in turbo mode, but a system actually goes over 100 kilometers. You can take this bike riding all day, every day, as long as you remember the charger, and there is no problem. You're not going to be caught short. And also, it's just a lot of fun. I've been riding a lot of road bikes during lockdown. I've been riding a lot of gravel bikes during lockdown. This is the only one where I really sort of let my hair go and go off into some different terrain and really enjoy my riding. If this is the direction in which electric gravel bikes are going, I'm fully for it, because this is a lot of fun, and I think this is the sort of bike that will get a completely new market of cyclists into the drop handlebar market.